Yeah, when I think of your guys' impact in the country, it's diverse. I mean, from different organizations out in Arad, Campina, Bucharest, and your impact here. Tell me about what is that transition? I know there's been a season of transition in your life. It was really a ministry that your father pioneered, and yet it's been on your shoulders for years. And then as of recent, your daughter, Carolina, is now more and more involved, and that legacy is now third generation. But let's rewind a little bit into when it's been on you. For how many years have you been leading the ministry and here, and what has that been like for you?
Well, it's my father died 5 years ago, back in November, so it's just past 5 years, and of course we needed to take a decision if we wanted to close the organization down, or we should continue to do the work. But we were in so many programs and so many projects that we couldn't just pull out and take out the button. We had a lot of people supporting us from Norway. We had a lot of churches supporting us, and also a lot of businesses supporting us from Norway. So we couldn't just pull out. And I've been in this board since 1996. So I was then 28 years old. So I've been in this business almost now for 25 years, and so it's, something, when you grew up, I grew up having my bedrooms ready for other people every day, every night, because when my father met people on the street having nowhere to go, he took them home. And it was so easy to take the biggest or the oldest only boy in the family, because I had two sisters, and I had to go and sleep on the floor, and we gave the bed to the one who needed it. So that was something I grew up with. So my heart was just I loved other people as much as I loved myself. So it was not but when you have a father with all these big visions and all this big call, or whatever you call it, it's difficult, because as you come in, I'm young, I see things in very different aspects that my father did. It becomes really you have to, because you don't want to disrespect your father. You want to give him respect, even if you saw it in a different way. And maybe that generation didn't give space for me to really come up with my ideas how to do things. I just respected him so much that I just supported him. And in the time I just said, because I had my own business back home, and I've been self-employed since 1993, just 4 years after marrying, and since this I did it to make my own money, to have my income. So I had a lot of creative ideas about how to do things, but so in the middle of the first 2-3 years, I just pushed on and said, why do we do this? And he wanted to do his way, and I just felt peace with just supporting him, being there for them, supporting their engagement, and then but suddenly I almost quit many times, because it's difficult when you have all these ideas, and I just decided, if I'm going to do this again, I need to find my way to do it. I cannot, it's so, you're working with people, so you need really to find your place, and so that's why we also needed to quit some projects. When I needed to find my projects, our projects that we could live for, and because it has to come from your heart.
That's right.
It has to come. If you present something, and people are smart, they're not stupid. They know that if you don't present it with your heart, you're never gonna be able to sell it, to have the sponsors you need, to have this money coming in, so you can do all these projects. But after a while, I understood that I'm almost 50 years now, so my time is. So Carolina came to me, my daughter. She was at that time 22, 23. She finished the school of nursing, and she had worked for a year and a half, 1 year and a half, And then she said, Daddy, I want to go back. I want to go down to Romania and see what my granddad did.
Yeah.
And I said, of course, that's a blessing, because I need someone there. And she came back after that 1.5 years, and she said, 1 year, a little bit more than 1 year, and she said, Daddy, this is something I want to do. And I said, if you want to do this, I will step back. I want you to really, I will support you doing the work. I will not be, I can come with my thoughts, but you need to take the decisions that comes from your heart.
That's good.
Because you are the generation, you are the new generations that see, and we had a lot of changes also in the organization, because it was a Christian organization. And my father was a preacher, and I was not. You understand? I was not a preacher. I was a businessman that wanted to do something good for people around us.
Yeah.
And I had my ways to think, and I said, and we were so much close to the churches. So the churches, I could not take it out of the churches, because it was so founded in the churches and Christian people, but I needed to find a new generation, because my father went out with, he had 28 years, 30 years old, I don't know exactly how old he was, but 28 he was. And then those people that follow him from that time, they were still there. So it hasn't increased of how many people was engaged in it, but it was the people that was in it still was there, but they were getting 70, 80. They were dying, you understand? So all the base we had of income was just in a structural difficulty. Because so we needed to, I wanted to reach the youth people. So we started new thinking. We had more on the social platforms, Instagram. We needed to do a new different layout on our website and all the paper communication we did and all that. But I needed someone new, so I brought in a lot of new young members, 18, 22, 23, 28. And now we are just a lot of people that comes in, and I bring people now from Norway down here because they need inspiration, because their life are empty. They want to do something. And that can be non-Christian, because we love them more, even more. I want to share what God put in my heart, but has nothing to do with... we all need it. We need someone that's bigger in life than ourselves.
Yeah, that's right. I really appreciate you were sharing this idea that young people coming from Norway, coming to Romania, and having an experience here where they get to serve people, they get to help, but really open themselves up to find, what the impact that trip has for them. While they come down to help other people, they turn around and realize that they themselves are the one that really gets blessed.
And another thing is, I think so many people now goes into that mode of getting a social platform or some. They all want to be working with the economy or the economists. That's a thing in Norway. Everyone once goes to the high school, want to be economists, and they want to have these degrees on, I don't know what they call them. Because I have nothing of that. So, but the thing is that I have, when you are 23, 25, 27 years old, you don't really know what to be. You understand? You may took that school, but when you come and you start work, I have so many who become doctors or become lawyers and become whatever, and they invested so many years into it, and they start to work. When I said, this is not what I expected it to be. And then they just come up and say, what did I use my last 8 years for? And they get in this crisis in life, and they see that I would rather want to work with people, for people. And I can say the most exciting thing you can do, and it's working for people, with people, everything. You're gonna go to the grave, and it's not all the cars you had, all not the houses, but all the people you met in your life. This thing we have. That's right. That's the impacts. Those are the impacts that are gonna follow us to the grave.